Hello friends. Now in this session we are going to discuss about the special precautions for works of engineering construction, and in this presentation mainly we are focusing on the cooling towers. So what exactly the cooling tower is? A cooling tower is a specialized heat exchanger in which air and water are brought into direct contact with each other in order to reduce the water's temperature. So as this occurs, a small volume of water is evaporated, reducing the temperature of the water being circulated throughout the tower. So our main aim is to reduce the temperature of water. That is why cooling process is involved. And for reducing the temperature of water, we are using a natural air. So with the help of direct contact of this air and water, we are reducing the temperature of water by vaporizing or evaporating the small amount of water. So the equipment which is used to reduce the temperature of water with the help of air contact is called as cooling tower. So it is a tower like construction and it is used to cool the water, that is nothing but the cooling process, and that is why this equipment is called as cooling tower. So in most of the industries, this cooling tower is required, and that is why as a safety officer, as a safety manager, safety engineer, we must know what are the safety precautions to be carried out, to be think of while construction, while installation, while maintenance or operating for this cooling tower. So there are some accidents already happen regards in the cooling towers. That is in the Chhattisgarh, in one of the companies, that is Korba West Power Co Limited in Raigra district. So 5 laborers were died, and the laborers were on 170-foot high scaffolding built around a cooling tower of the power plant. When the scaffolding came crashing down, the victims were buried in the debris and cranes had to be used to recover these bodies. So this is the background why we must require the safety precautions in the cooling tower. So this is one of the accident where due to this cooling tower accident, 5 fatalities are occurred, and the main root cause is the working at height and scaffolding crash from a 170-foot high. The another example in the cooling tower accident is from the America. That is 51 construction workers were killed in 1978. That is one of the major construction accident in the America. So that is again related to the cooling tower which was happened in the Willow Island, West Virginia, and the main thing is related to this cooling tower is natural draft cooling tower. So normally these cooling towers are of many types. So some of the experts saying only 2 types, that is natural draft or a draught cooling tower and forced draught cooling tower. So that forced draught cooling tower is also called as mechanical draft cooling towers. So when cooling is happen in a natural way, then it is called as natural draft cooling tower. And when an external agency is added for performing this cooling process, then it is called as mechanical or forced draft cooling tower. So this accident is related to the natural draft cooling tower, and again there is a issue of working at height. So from the height, if the persons are falling or the material is falling, then there is a major hazard. So one of the major hazard in these cooling towers are, that is most of the accidents are due to the workers falling from height or material falling from height. Hence, there is a need for study of the hazards present during the construction of this natural draft cooling tower or forced draft cooling tower and give their control measures in order to minimize the risk, and we have to prevent these accidents, or we have to prevent this repetition of the accidents which has already happened in the history. So let us discuss what exactly the preventive measures are or the controlling measures are. So just like the other mechanism and other equipments, we have to follow some of the general safety practices for the cooling towers also. So we must identify the hazards in the construction of NDCT, try to control measures to minimize the risk, then must study about the safety management systems to control these hazards. And while construction of this natural draft cooling tower, we have to adopt some general guidelines like no reverse policy at site, that is marking roundabout or U-turn, no overtake of the vehicles, then camel hump, speed breakers, then drive defensively, debut flagman, then not using the mobile phone while driving, uses of seat belts for driver as well as passenger, never ride on construction vehicles like JCB, FLT, Bobcat, etc., following local traffic rules strictly, and care other road users while driving. So these are the general driving guidelines, especially when we are talking about the construction activities for NDCT. Then the safety induction is also one of the main component when we are thinking about the safety precautions for these cooling towers. Safety induction is given to all the new recruited staffs. So all the new staffs or the workers or the employees must go through this induction program. So no staff or worker who has not been given induction training is allowed to work at site. So normally we must follow some practices like certification of this induction program. So if the worker or the employee is having that certificate, it means he or she has gone through this induction program. Then and then only you have to allow this person for working for this cooling tower construction activity. In the safety induction, the company policy, its objective, its rules are explained so that each individual becomes familiar to the working environment at site. So we have already discussed about that the construction activity is the common activity, but when we are talking about the construction activity in airfield construction activity, in transmission line construction activity, at railway station construction activity, in industry construction activity for cooling tower, etc. Each and every construction activity has their different hazard, different environmental conditions, different aspects, and that is why this program should be designed in a such a way that this program should be focused only that particular construction activity. So for this presentation, the construction activities, construction of natural draft cooling tower. Then there are different components like toolbox meeting is there. So before the start of any type of construction work, toolbox meeting is conducted where the workers all explain about the work they have to do. So what exactly the order is, what exactly they have planned, and what exactly or how exactly they are going to do. So that should be discussed in this toolbox meeting so that the hazards present in that location, the way to minimize the risk, that should be or can be discussed, and in some of the cases the expert opinion can be given to that worker before starting the work. So it is given by the superior or supervisors in the presence of safety personnel and execution people, so that this safety personnel can guide the supervisor as well as to the employee, especially when the employees are new in that area. It is mandatory to conduct toolbox meeting daily, otherwise the work is not allowed to start, and that is why this frequency is also important, because the daily plan, daily activities in the construction area is different one, and that is why toolbox meeting should be scheduled on a daily basis. Then there is another component that is called as height pass or permit to work. Normally we are talking in the industries, that is permit to work, especially for the working at height. Now this is the height pass work for the construction activity for NDCT. In the construction field, most of the work is to be done at height. But before a worker is sent to work at height, it should be checked that whether this worker is capable or not for working at height. It should be also checked that the health issues is there with that worker or not. So for this, a competent person is present to check the health issues of that worker and also check whether the worker is capable to work at height or not. So we can go through the acrophobia test, and no worker or staff is allowed to go to height without showing the height pass. So if the height pass is there, it means he or she has passed already the acrophobia test, or he or she is capable to work at height with good health conditions. And this is given by the competent person and has to be renewed every 6 months. So normally the health condition may change drastically, and that is why we have to check the health conditions at least twice in a year, and then only we can give the height pass to that person. Then safety checklist is another component. So checklists are other means of inspection that gives a deep understanding of technical and other aspects of risk that may cause injury or illness. So we have to check the different aspects from the construction point of view, from the health point of view, from the hazards point of view, from the different types of hazards point of view. So checklists such as welding machine, cutting machine, grinding machines, and gas cuttings are used in every area wherever any activity is carrying out. So if the construction activity is there, it means sometimes we need these types of machine for the fabrication purpose or some other purpose. So checklist for all these types of machines should be ready, and that should be checked by the competent person again. Plants and machinery checklist are available and being maintained. So plant and machinery checklist is also important to continue improve performance and the consistency of safety, environment and quality process. To ensure the compliance with all the applicable laws, we have to go for safety checklist. So we must review these different safety checklist. We must update this safety checklist, and we have to follow all the checklist norms which is given by the competent person or the expert person. Then another component is subcontractors. So for subcontractors, regular safety inspections, safety audits are done regularly at a particular interval of time. Safety audit is done as per the IS 14489, and based on that a report is made. So we have already discussed the different elements under the IS 14489 in one of the session. So I am not going to discuss all the components in detail regarding the safety audit as per IS 14489. So safety auditor's responsibility to check all the conformities and non-conformities regarding this construction activity. So these non-conformities are raised to the subcontractor and asked to take the proper action to rectify them within a scheduled time, because some of the non-conformities may have taken a week only. Some non-conformities may require a month or a quarter for satisfying the condition from the auditor's point of view. So that is depending on the condition, but the responsibility of the subcontractor and the contractor is to satisfy the NCs from the auditor's point of view. Then the another element is safety instructions for prevention and fire protections. So we have to check the fire hazard also, and accordingly we have to keep the fire extinguisher equipment and firefighting equipment must be ready. So depending on the situation, depending on the conditions, depending on the fire load calculations and the material available at that site, we have to decide which type of firefighting equipment and which type of fire extinguish equipment should be used in case of fire. So to prevent the hazards, fire hazards, good housekeeping at all the locations, that is one of the key aspect, and that should be strictly maintained. The storage room or shed shall be of fire resistance construction. For any hot work jobs, hot work permit to be obtained from the concerned department. So we already discussed about these work permit systems in one of the sessions. So you can go through that. And one of the main aspect is hot work jobs related to these fire protection systems. Then when hot work is to be carried out at height, HERA control measures, that is hazard identification, risk analysis and control measures to be prepared, and fire blanket to be used to avoid the accidental travel of sparks. Smoking in the office or site premises shall be strictly prohibited, and all processes, storage, equipments, plants, etc. involving serious explosive and flash fire hazard shall be located in isolated buildings where all such hazardous activities, equipment shall be so arranged that only a minimum number of authorized employees are exposed, because only trained people should be allowed to work in this area. And if the peoples are less, if the vehicle traffic is less, then we can easily fight or handle the fire hazard in case of fire. So housekeeping is one of the main key, and we have to avoid one of the element, that is ignition, hot work, or the one side of that fire triangle, because oxygen is always present in the atmosphere, and that is why we have to focus on the ignition part. So we have to avoid this hot work, we have to avoid these hot objects, or we have to isolate these hot works or hot jobs from the fuel. In all work places having serious fire or flash fire hazards, passages between the meshes, installation or piles of material shall be at least 90 centimeter wide. That is the good condition as far as this fire hazard is concerned. For storage piles, the clearance between the ceiling and the top of the pile should not be less than 2 meters, otherwise it is difficult to handle these fires. Availability of sufficient quantity of fire extinguishers, fire buckets and water supply at ample pressure as per the national standards to extinguish any probable fires shall be ensured. Portable type fire extinguishers of class A, B, C, D shall be statutory. Now all the fire fighting equipment shall be properly maintained and inspected at regular intervals of not less than once in a month by the responsible persons, and all the records should be maintained. Because in case of fire, it should not be the case that these fire extinguishers is having less pressure or this fire extinguisher is not available. So for that purpose, depending on the material, we have to keep ready these types of fire extinguishers. So we have already discussed the types of fire extinguishers like A, B, C, D, etc. in one of the sessions. So I'm not going to into detail what exactly these fire extinguishers are and what are the mechanisms for fire extinguishment. Cylinders containing compressed gas shall never be stored near highly flammable substances, hot processes or electrical installations. So the compressed gas, it means it is a pressurized gas. So if there is a flammable substance or hot processes or electrical installation which can gives us the spark or the ignition source, then there is a chance of fire again. And if the compressed gas is flammable or explosive, then there is another hazard, that is explosive hazard may be the chance. All the firefighting equipment shall be properly maintained and inspected at regular intervals. The portable fire extinguisher shall be tested once in a month, and record of the same is to be maintained and in the form of firefighting equipment inspection record. So defective or exhausted equipment shall be replaced immediately. So that is the corrective action in case of you find the defective piece or the exhausted equipment, then we have to replace that firefighting equipment. So these are the general guidelines regarding the fire hazards. Then we have to follow the incident reporting system in case of any incident is happen in that location, in that premises. So incident may be the first aid case, incident may be the near miss, but we have to report to avoid the accidents or to avoid the major accidents which may happen in the near. If you don't report these first aid or near miss cases, and if you don't study these cases, if you don't improve or take the corrective action, then these small near misses may convert into the major accidents. So every accident is recorded in a register and analyzed so that the lesson could be learned. Small cut or low level injuries are recorded in first aid registers with proper sequence of how it is happened. Near miss is recorded in a defined format with total sequence of event, body part injured, corrective and preventive action taken, and management remark and sent to the head office. So incidents are also reported to the local factory inspector and police station, so that these local inspector or the police stations can also share these types of near miss or incidents to the similar type of industry to avoid the repetition of that accident in the other industries or in the other areas. So this is the importance of this incident reporting system. Then if the accident is happen, then we have to go for the investigation, that is called as accident investigation. And with the help of this accident investigation committee and the neighbors, we have to prepare the accident investigation report. So it is done by the safety in charge, safety staff with senior execution staff at site, and witness statement, evidences, other information is collected as to reach into the root cause of that accident. So we have to find this root cause of that accident so that this could not be happen again in the future. So for preventing any kind of accident, a declaration sheet is filled by the safety person after inspecting the area before doing any activity, and then action plan is prepared and implemented to prevent accidents. So that is the main purpose of this accident investigation system, that we have to avoid these types of repetition, we have to avoid these types of accident, and that is why this accident investigation team members and committee and report is executed in the industries. So this is one of the element that is called as safety audit. So we already discussed that the safety audit is generally carried out as per the IS 14489 norms. Now this is the audit of sites and report preparation. So from this chart, you can understand what type of audit activities are there. So initiating the audit is the first step, then preparing the audit activities, then conducting the audit activities, preparing and distributing the audit report, then completing the audit and conducting the audit follow-up. So these are the general steps in any type of audit. So we are going to focus on the safety audit, which is specially should be designed for the construction activities of these cooling towers. Then in the audit steps, there are different elements like HERA. So that is hazard identification and risk assessment and control measures. So we have already discussed in detail about this HERA. So you have to think about these HERA aspects for these construction activities of this cooling tower. Likewise, the next element is safety alert. Whenever any accident or fatality takes place in any site, safety alert is sent to all the site managers, safety personnel and other staffs, giving the complete description of accidents. So the main cause of accident found after the investigation, but at least you have to report, you have to communicate this particular aspect for the different peoples. So the preventive and corrective action can be taken in such cases, and due to this safety alert, which is sent to the different sites, to the different peoples, we can discuss the things in the toolbox meeting and the different quarter meeting also. Thank you.